The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports, and entertainment. Good morning, wherever you are listening. If you're in the morning, good afternoon, somewhere else. And I'm saying, how has been your weekend? If you are already halfway through the day. My name is Valentine Bengalasende, and you're welcome to yet another edition of this program, Goldfish with Valentine Benga. Well, this is still a continuation of the special edition, like I said last week, when I hosted some of the media aid of some political parties in Nigeria, and also some media aid to some of those gubernatorial candidates and the eventual winner of the governorship election that's declared by INEC, even if they have not been sworn in. Well, you're welcome to today's program, and you've seen in our promos and in our flyers today, we're expecting to have another big fish in the pond, another goldfish today. He is an established personality, and I'm expecting him anytime soon. I had a little discussion or some form of communication with the media aid a couple of minutes ago, and I guess he's driving, and he will soon be joining us live on this program today. Hopefully, maybe in the next few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, we should be able to have him in the studio. But what are we discussing today? We're still basking in the euphoria of having a concluded or an inconclusive 2023 election, because litigation is still in the air. There are still some results. There are still some polling units that results have not been declared there. So we can say that Nigeria has had an election in 2023. The definition of conclusion there lies in your hand and in my hand, and maybe in the hand of INEC and the judiciary. Until when everybody is sworn in, then we can say we have a concluded or an election that is conclusive. Nigeria got independence in 1960 and has been having a couple of elections since the advent of its democracy. A country that's been bedeviled with lots of military coup and military intervention in its polity and economy. A country who has seen the worst of nosediving into poverty and political instability. What is the way forward? That is what we'll be discussing today. And we're going to have in the studio a major player in both Nigerian economy, Nigerian polity, and even in diaspora and experience. I will not be telling you who he is. If you have seen the flyer, fine. But if you're not, I'll wait until when he gets to the studio. But I might also be having his media aid join us in this program today. But I will take this time out. When I come back, the show will definitely continue. Please stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports, and entertainment. The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports, and entertainment. Okay, you're welcome back. The program is still Goldfish with Valentine Benga. I'm still waiting. I think I have the media aid of our guest in the house. Can you please come up screen? Can I have your camera on, please, if you can hear me? I'm talking about the media aid
Yeah, I
to
can
our
hear.
guest. Can you please
Thank
put
you
up your
very
camera?
much. Thank you very much, Mr. Valentine Benga. It's nice having me on your platform. Thank you so much.
Yeah. This is a very serious program. Can we have you stable in one place with a very good background and a well lighted room, as discussed? Well, I think he's just trying to find his feet. Just like I said, if you're just joining the program, is a Goldfish with Valentine Benga, and I'm supposed to have in the studio with me today a special guest. I don't want to tell you his name, but he's one of the immediate past senatorial candidate contesting on the platform of SDP in Kwara State. You might have met him, you might know him, but I'm still reluctant to just let the cat out of the bag. Now, let's just quickly make some discussion about what is going on in Nigeria. Nigeria, especially in this dispensation, in this 2023 election, there has been a lot of controversies about the freeness or the fairness and the complexities of the election for this year. There has been a lot of cross-carpeting. There has been a lot of betrayal, acclaimed betrayals, and there has been a lot of renegotiation. People who have lost are pitching tents with some of their opposition parties, and the case seems not to be dying down anytime soon. Recently, it was in the news that one of a major player in PDP has been suspended, but we're still trying to follow up the story. We know that recently he has been around in a couple of TV stations. I'm talking about no other person than that gentleman that is popularly referred to as Oshokomale. Also, in a national perspective of the polity, a lot of people seems not to agree with INEC on the conduct of the election. Now, the candidate under the platform of APC has been declared the winner of the 2023 presidential election. How free or how fair was the election? Can we say that INEC had been able to bring to the table what is expected of him? Across the world and in different medium of expression, people have compared Nigeria to United States of America, to some other democratic nations of the world. But here is the downside to it. America is about 400 years in democracy, while Nigeria is just like about 2 or 3 decades into its own democratic situation. Now, is it going to be fair for us to look at an imported form of government, a system of government that is not even cultural to our own system? Is it fair to compare such with organized, established democracy such as the one we have in the United States? The people that have come from different nations as observers, international observers, are they right about their expression and explanation of our 2023 elections? Can we say that we have learned from the previous elections? Let's talk about the one that we had about 23 years ago, the one that produced the annulled election. Can we say that we have learned anything from the election that brought retired General Olusegun Obasanjo? Can we say that we have learned from the election that brought about the former PDP chieftain who was our president just before Obasanjo came in? I'm talking about Goodluck Jonathan. Then can we say that there's anything different between the election that brought in President Muhammadu Buhari to what we have now? There has been a lot of allegation of intimidation, ballot, ballot box snatching, overvoting, but eventually INEC has declared a winner. There has been a lot of allegation of massive rigging in the southeast, in the south-south, in the southwest, practically maybe all across the country, depending on where a particular character among the contenders come from. This has been acclaimed to be like a political tsunami orchestrated by some form of political giants from the east, especially in a bid to make Peter Obi the president of Nigeria. Is this really a tsunami, or just, or rather, was it a tsunami, or just another wave of the moment that has happened? These are some of the questions that we are going to be asking guests. We're still hoping that he makes it here as soon as possible. The media head just sent a message to me that in a jiffy he's going to be settled and we'll be able to talk to him. But away from the national politics, we'll also be going deep down to Kwara State. A lot of people ask me why I'm always so passionate about it. Well, for the records, I am from Kwara State. I know a little bit about politics in Kwara State. And the emphasis is going to be also laid today on Kwara State politics. We're going to be looking at it in retrospect of what has happened from the adjudged or the so-called dynasty, what happened, what led to it, and why is it. Anyway, I don't want to say too much until maybe when I have my guests in the house. All right, we're going to go for another short break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have our guests in the house. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports, and entertainment. The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports and entertainment. You're welcome back. The program is still Goldfish with Valentine Benga. I just got a message from the media aid that in a minute our guests will be joining us very, very shortly. Yes, last week I had the Chief Press Secretary to PDP, Chief Press Secretary to SDP, and I had one of the local government chieftain from Lagos State on the program. And there has been a lot of feedback from that program that we had, ranging from people agreeing with some of the hypothetical order that was stated, and also some people not agreeing with some of those things that those gentlemen said. Please, if you want to watch this program, you can go live, join us on Facebook. You can just follow Valentine Benga Olasende on Facebook, or you go on YouTube and join Valentine Bengola Sunday. You can watch, but we cannot afford to have everybody in the studio, because I can see that a whole lot of people are trying to join in the studio, well, but we'll not be able to accommodate that. So please, we want to make this as professional as possible, and we may not be able to just, please just pardon us. But if you want to watch the program, just go on Facebook and just go to my page, or you go to my handle on Facebook, and then you will be able to watch the program. If the media aid is there, I want you to please let me know, and what name our guests will be using, so that I can know when to put him on. I hope you can hear me. Hello, Mr. Boladile, can you hear me?
And clear.
Okay.
Hello, I can hear you loud and clear, Mr. Gwenda.
Okay, good afternoon once again.
Prof. Wale Suleiman will be joining you shortly. I think he just arrived his base presently, and he will be joining us shortly. Just trying to stabilize.
Okay. While we are waiting for him, well, you already let the cat off the bag, because I didn't want to mention his name, but since you have done that, I think I should just go ahead and we'll just continue with the program. But as a media aid, how best can you describe this last 2023 election?
Well, I think it was an experience, and our people were actually looking for a new dispensation, based on their experience, based on what had been going on, looking at challenges in which we're facing in the country, especially the last-minute tragedy. I'm talking about the money change policy, which has a very lingering effect on our people. So, they were actually looking for hope, and you can see the energy of the youth. The youth were very much, committed to having a change. And, just as the INEC chairman rightly, observed, the youth form a larger percentage of the registered voter. And obviously, you can see what actually transpired in Lagos and some other states. The youth really came out to, to exercise their franchise. So generally, people were hopeful, and in the media scene,
can I just cut you for a minute or for a second?
Fine.
Now, there has been so much emphasis about the youth influence in Nigerian politics, especially in this 2023 election. Did we see anything significant about the youth rate? Was it actually the youth? What was the percentage of the youth inclusion in this particular electioneering tide that we had?
Obviously, the youth actually vote, and it's not depend on the place you are as a youth.
What was the percentage of the youth and their involvement in this election. Can we say that the youth took as much as 30% of the whole entire population of voters?
Well, I can't give you a specific data or the statistic of the number of youth that were actually involved, because I'm not the INEC chairman, actually. But, at a press release by the INEC chairman, he did attest to the fact that youth form a larger percentage of the registered voters. So I think that speaks volume to the fact that the youth actually participated.
Okay, so what's your own conclusion if you are asked as a Nigerian and as somebody who has been a member of the fourth estate, would you say that the 2023 election is free and fair?
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello. I think he's having problem with his audio. Okay, well, maybe for the last time, hopefully, I'm going to go for another break. When I come back,
I
will
be... you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear. Hello? I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, I will say that for whatever it is worth, can you say categorically that this election, can you say it was free and fair?
Well, there's a lot of litigation here and there about the fate of the election, and it depends on the candidates.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about what might eventually become a concomitant effect of the election, but I'm saying that the election that we had this year, presidential, gubernatorial, and whatever, can you say that the election by INEC was free and fair?
Well, I wouldn't say that. All I would say is that there's a progress. There's a kind of a progress in the system that we've been used to. With the beavers, with the the electoral processes, the election process, and things like that. There are new innovation, new technology has been put in place. So there are progress. And mind you, despite the fact that the beavers was actually introduced, there are some challenges faced in some polling units. Some units, they weren't able to use their beavers and things like that. So I think that it's all about having the kind of progress from what we've been used to. So I think that's what I would say.
Now, we have seen a lot of video footages where there has been violence here and there. So I was expecting you to talk more about that, things that we saw physically, the ones that were recorded, the ones that were transmitted via different visual platforms. But I think you are trying to shy away from my question. You as a Nigerian, if you were called and asked that, was that election, do you see that election as free and fair?
Hello? I think Prof. Suleiman is connected now.
The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports, and entertainment. Welcome back, distinguished viewers. If you're just joining the program, is Goldfish with Valentine Bing. And I have in the studio joining us live our guest. He just made it. But I will appreciate if your device can be, the location of your device can be changed, because the reflection coming from behind is kind of interfering on the camera. If you can just change your position so that we can see your face very clearly. I'm sure a lot of people are really eager and excited to see our guest.
Let me work on that for 1 second, please. Let me change my
Okay.
location. Okay.
Okay. While you are doing that, I would just quickly want to introduce our guests. I want to just quickly introduce our guest so that people can know him while we are waiting for, while we're waiting to see him. My guest today is from Ajasheipo in Kwara State, a professor of neurosurgery, a philanthropist, a successful entrepreneur. He studied medicine at the Medical University Varna, all the way Bulgaria, and is recognized as one of the best neurosurgeons in the world. Some time ago in 2020, he was shortlisted as one of the 60 most influential Nigerians at Your Views Nigeria at 60 Diamond Jubilee Series. I'm sure you know Your Views, one of the programs that we have on TVC channel, one of our sister station. He is the CEO and chairman of RNC Global Limited and chairman RNC Foundation. Viewers, I present to you our guest for today, an immediate past senatorial candidate under the flagship of SDP in Kwara State. I present to you Professor Wale Suleiman, CON. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Professor. How are you today?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, you are really
great.
a good
How
fish.
are you doing?
Very well. You are really a goldfish because we had to wait for like about 30 minutes to have you on the program, but I think it's still worth the wait. At least finally you are here.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry
okay.
for that. I apologize to you and to the guests. You know, in Nigeria, we try to keep it as normal as possible. I just dropped my kids at a birthday party. Sorry about that.
Okay, can you just quickly say maybe a word of greetings to our teaming viewers that are watching over there? We have a lot of people watching you in Nigeria, United States, where the studio and the station is based, and then we have some more people watching you too in Europe. Can you just say some kind of hello to them?
Well, first of all, I want to say good morning to you, Mr. Valentine, and good afternoon to those in Nigeria. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be invited to be here. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for showcasing Nigeria and showcasing Nigeria in a bright light. And I say happy Saturday to those in Nigeria and abroad. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Professor Wale Suleiman. It's a pleasure to have you too. Now let's quickly go to it, and I want to make this as serious as possible, but I want you to be relaxed. Some of my questions might be coming very daring. Now, let me pick you from where I stopped with your media aid. This 2023 election, how best can you describe it?
Well, I think this 2023 election, Nigeria won. Nigeria won. Nigeria as a country, the Nigerian people won in this last election. And what I mean by that is that if someone had asked 2 years ago that there will be a professor of neurosurgery that will come back to Kwara State and join politics and shook ground the way we were able to shake ground, and the point of concern to the major two parties, PDP and APC, and they end up to win 25,000 votes in the election, people would have said it's impossible. That was something that was unheard of. And the second example is if somebody had said that a different party would beat Tinubu in Lagos, Ashwaji Bola met Tinubu in Lagos, somebody would have said it's impossible. So our democracy, no matter how much concern you have about what transpired, our democracy is moving in the right direction. The changes that have been made to the electoral process, beavers, and a few other things that INEC had done, I think it's moving us in the right direction. Is it perfect? Of course not. Is it where we want it to be? That's not what we want. Were there rigging and some allegations of intimidation? Yes, but I think we're moving in the right direction. And I strongly would encourage professionals. You see, if Nigeria is going to change, it's up to the elites. If Nigeria is going to change, it's up to the elites. And someone like me has taken that step to be able to move in that direction. But that's what I think about the last election. We're moving in the right direction.
Well, um, maybe I think you are about to answer a question that I was going to ask you. You, a world-renowned neurosurgeon, what exactly was that inspiration that got hold of you to want to take a dive into politics? What is that thing? What is that thing that is so interesting? Was there something else that we need to know?
Well, I mean, I think, I strongly believe that no matter whatever talent you've been given in life, there's a purpose for it. A kid like me from Lagos ghetto and then becoming what I've become today is all by the grace of God. And I think that, by the skill set that I have in terms of leadership, in terms of neurosurgical skills, in terms of business, in terms of being able to build a team and expand the business from just a couple of $1 million business to over $500 million business in the US. Those are enormous skills that I felt Nigeria needed that I could use to help my people. I didn't get into politics, I was dragged into politics. A lot of what I was doing was philanthropic work in Kwara State. It was the people that said they wanted me to get into politics. But I also trust that that was the way God wanted to use me at that time. There were different ways to serve humanity. And I saw that our people didn't have good representation. They were voting, that they were not getting dividend of democracy. And I felt that we could do better. And so I said, let's give it a try. So there was no, it was just, I saw it as a continuum with regards to what I was doing in healthcare, service to
Okay,
humanity.
I'm going to be very honest with you because I also belong to a population of Nigerians who feel otherwise to what you have said. There are a couple of us out there that we feel that for anybody coming into politics is just a way of becoming a part of that confraternity that want to eat into our treasury. So was it just about helping people, or is it also can we also say that it's a way of maybe trying to add more to whatever wealth that you have? And I'm not saying this just to you alone, but is that not a common thing, a common denominator that we find among most politicians?
Well, I mean, I think it's legitimate to ask that question because that's what you find commonly in this country. Unfortunately, even there was a time we had all these young progressive people that came from abroad, the people like Dr. Bukola Saraki, all those other guys that we felt Nigeria was ready to explode and go well. But unfortunately, we were disappointed, and corruption took over some things. So I think it's the right question to ask. But
Does
I
that
guess the
accrue to
best,
you too?
I think what I can tell you is that I became a professor in my 40s. I became the chairman and the system chairman of neurosurgery in America in my 40s. As a neurosurgeon, I made several figures in the United States, and I was very comfortable. And then I became regional medical director for a multi-billion-dollar health system in Africa. I have one of the busiest practices in Nigeria in terms of spine. And I've started 6 companies in this country that are doing not too bad. So these last few years that I've been in politics was a negative, was a lose for me. But I have no regrets, and I can at least speak with authority now that I've given the big sacrifice. I've participated in the process to change Nigeria. I'm not just a commentator now. I'm not just a critic. I'm not a cynic. I've done what I needed to do to try and help this country.
All
Participate. I
right.
risk if you were
Let me say thank you, but if my appreciation is not so robust, just see like that is just the nature of the program. Well, I want to quickly ask you a question. Do you see yourself in Kwara State? Now, at the bigger screen, we see Peter Obi as a tsunami in Nigeria. Okay, do you see yourself as the tsunami in Kwara State where you went to contest?
well, I don't really like to grade myself. I think that's up to the people to grade me. I think what we have done is that we had disrupted the process. Let me give you some examples of what we've been able to do. I just gave you an example of somebody coming from America joining politics and being able to be disruptive enough that both APC and PDP were worried. They actually thought they were going to lose to us. Whatever was done last minute, maybe, I don't know. I don't have any evidence to speak to that, but some people still feel like our mandate was stolen. Some people still feel that way. Now,
Okay.
let's not speak.
Okay, please go ahead. I'll give you one more minute
No, so I think the
to
point
hear
I'm
him out.
trying to make is that yes, we did shake ground, and we got 25,000 people to believe that we needed to change the narrative, to change the way we're going. So I think so we have achieved significant amount of forward movement, but there's still more to do.
Okay, I know you sit on top of a very big company or very big companies, maybe conglomerate of businesses, and I know that you guys you are. I know you are made. Maybe one of these days we also ask your company or your foundation to come and partner with us on this program. But I mean that aside, let's look at Nigeria before we come back to your state. Democratically, can we say that Nigeria is going the right way or is a failed state democratically?
Well, I mean, I think I spoke to that a little bit in the sense that I think the last election Nigeria won. The people of Nigeria were gaining ground in the sense that it looks like people's votes are beginning to count. The process was more peaceful than we thought. But, you know, principally speaking, democracy doesn't work well in a situation where you have most people that are uneducated and most people are impoverished. The reason why the political elites have been able to continue to have a strong hold on this country is because most of our people are uneducated and most of our people are poor. So last minute, they have managed to weaponize poverty to be able to control the people. I mean,
Who,
I
who are
also
these people
use,
that who are these people that you are talking about? Because that is actually what I'm trying to get at. Who are those people that are you talking about the elitist group, the capitalist group, or are we talking about leadership? The constant of leadership in Nigeria is like about 0.01%, where such a very negligible number control the economy and the polity. So who exactly are those influences that you're talking about?
yeah, you just answered your own question. I think the bottom line is that the people that hold on to power and they have not been able to deliver dividend of democracy or good leadership or good governance, they're the people we're talking about. Look, if you are in an office and you feel you have performed and you have done a great job, why else would you be distributing bags of rice and giving people money a day before the election?
But you do not do the
If
same
you
thing.
fail,
You also did a lot of
no,
empowerment. You also belong to this elitist group. I saw videos and pictures of where you did a lot of empowerment. So can you take yourself out of that quorum?
you know, those empowerments we were doing before I got into politics. The RNC Foundation started 10, 12 years ago. We did medical, I've probably sponsored medical missions that benefited about 40, 50,000 Nigerians before I even thought about politics. Remember, I told you I was dragged into politics, not by my own intention. So it's because of what we did. Our record was what made us get into politics because we felt we could do more with better representation, better governance, honest leadership with the highest degree of integrity. So
Well,
when people ask me that whether it was politics, I said, let me ask you, those people that we helped, were they not sick? Those people that came to get free medical care, were they just pretending to be sick? These are people that needed real help.
I don't want us to I don't want us to have a tilt yet. We're still coming back to you. I think I know a little about what you have done, back when we were in KID and all that. But now let's still look at Nigeria. You as a neurosurgeon, do you
Yes, sir.
think, or what do you think Nigeria needs? What kind of surgery do you think Nigeria needs to be able to come out of all these problems that we have in our democracy? Especially about empowerment. When it's like about a year or some months to our election, every electoral time or timeline, you see people come out, they start giving people things. Is that still not the same thing that has been happening over the time? And what kind of surgery do you think we need to get out of this?
I think fundamentally speaking, democracy doesn't work if there's no good penetration of basic education, and if most of the people are poor, because then you don't have a good grasp of what democracy means. You don't have a good grasp of what your rights and responsibilities are in the democratic process. And so, let's take some Quara, for instance, where you have literacy rate that is very low. You have most of the people living in poverty. So I think that's one. The second aspect of it is you and I, people like you and I, all of the diaspora, the elite, have a significant role to play in advancing this country in the right direction. Because right now we play the role of critics and we write blogs, and but we need to be part of the solution. The countries I lived abroad for almost 35 years, the countries that we live where we feel so comfortable, they fought for their democracy. They fought for good economy. They fought for freedom. We just go there and reap the benefits. We need to be part of the solution. And then lastly, we need to have a true federal system in this country. We need to create a competing system where each state has to fend for itself and be able to be innovative and creative and be able to find ways to increase the IGR and create jobs. And then lastly, there needs to be a true separation of power. How can you have a judicial system that is fully funded by the arms of government that they're supposed to oversee? It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Even the selecting process is practically done by the government.
Exactly. So how do you have, even in the United States it happens, but if there's an independent and independently funded judicial system, then we will begin to move in the right direction. Right now,
okay. Because of our time, let us move away from Nigeria and let's move back into politics now. Let's look at the leadership. We've had people and persons like Obasanjo, we've had Yaradua, we've had Jonathan, we've had quite a number of them. What is different? What is changed? Because right now we have a president-elect in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What do you think is going to be different from what we've had in the past? And do you agree in the choice of this presidency?
Well, first of all, I think I want to congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari for really pushing for the best way possible, free and fair election. The best way what's achievable in Nigeria. I think this is probably one of the more acceptable ones in the last few decades. So that's one. The second thing is that I did say that the election could be, anywhere in the world, you can always improve on the electoral process. I think there were some issues, there were some challenges. Yes, we accept that. But no, even if we had to vote 10 times, the result would not be different. And I'm telling you that from what analysis have been done over and over again. So let's leave that as it is. The only way, and so I congratulate the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who I think has demonstrated in Nigeria the capacity to lead, to be transformative, capacity to be innovative, capacity to drive significant investments into a region. Look at Lagos is the fourth largest economy in Africa. The platform, the scaffold to be able to get to where Lagos is, that was Bola Ahmed Tinubu that did that. Now, is it a saint? Has he done some things that maybe people didn't feel like it was good?
You are getting me surprised with your words, with all this compliment you are giving to Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu.
No, I did say that
platform. You come from Social Democratic Party. That is your platform. But now I'm seeing you giving credence to. I would rather expect you. Is this another form of cross-carpeting? Am I expecting you to see? Am I expecting to see you in APC in the next few months?
No, I think you asked me a question. I'm giving you an honest answer. You can't predict. You couldn't have predicted my answer. You asked me a question about the president-elect. The SDP candidate wasn't elected. It was Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has been elected.
But let's look at you. You have lived in the United States for a while. Will I ever see a Republican who contested against the Democratic president and losing and then congratulating? Will I see something like that?
That's sportsmanship.
Is there any chance of seeing that?
So I lost my senatorial election. The next day, I released a congratulatory message for Senator Lola Shehu. That's sportsmanship. You just have to congratulate the winner and move on. That's why I'm congratulating the APC candidate that won the election. He's the president-elect, and the only way we can fully judge him is for him to let's see what he does. We had a lot of expectations and hope when President Muhammad Buhari came into office. Now we can now reflect and see whether he's done well or not. It's up to people to judge. But the president-elect, I'm just speaking to what he has done, what he did in Lagos State, and what he has done in terms of investment in people and grooming people and really making people leaders. So
So
now,
what about the answer to the part B of my question? So what is going to be different now? What do you see that is likely to be in the foreseeable future from the generation of presidents that we have had? What are we likely to see that will be
well,
done
I mean,
differently?
I can only judge from what he has done. So the Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the only governor that has ever uh, selected his cabinet based on capability and capacity. So we're looking to see what happens with his cabinet. Who are the people that he's going to surround himself with? Because it's not just about one person, it's about a team. The cabinet will begin to tell us what we can expect in the next 4 to 8 years.
Okay. I mean, even before the election, we've had cases of people saying that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not health. I mean, he has health issues. He's not supposed to be president. What's your take on this? Do you think he has as a doctor, with a very high pedigree? Do you think that he can live up to all the demands and the expectation of that seat?
The presidency is not about one person, it's about a team. And I hope he will put a good cabinet together that can tackle the enormous issues that we have in Nigeria. Look at President Joe Biden. President Biden also has, is that what? Is he not 82 now? What is President Biden's age, 82? Also, I mean, I think, all these, there's a lot of innuendos and rumors and somebody even said recently that he was rushed to England because he had a health crisis. There's so much, you're a media person, you're a professional. There's so much fake news out there, it's hard to know what to believe. So I don't know. I mean, we had a president that was out of commission for a few months because of health crisis in this country. And then he came back, he continued to govern. So I don't want to speak to things that I don't have objective data on. But all I know is that he was able to survive and do well with the campaign, very rigorous and highly combative campaign. So you can judge that by yourself.
Okay. We're going to take a short break. When we come back,
Okay.
look at these three people on your screen. We're going to be talking
Yes,
about them. What is that thing that made a difference? Atiku was in power for 8 years as a vice president. He has contested to be president like about 3 or 4 times, and yet he has lost. And Peter Obi, as a former governor of Anambra State, using all the influences of social media and with all the rave and everything, also lost to the man called Jagaban. The first question is, what happened and what made the difference? We'll be right back after this very short break. Please don't go
Thank you very much.
nowhere. We still want to say thank you for coming. Please stay tuned. The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports, and entertainment. Distinguished viewers at home, you're welcome back. The program is Goldfish with Valentine Benga, and I have a very good not just gold, but still golden fish in the house. I'm talking about the immediate past senatorial candidate under the flagship of SDP, the chairman of RNZ, and one of the world-renowned neurosurgeon in the person of Professor Wale Suleiman. You're still welcome back to the program, Prof.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been exciting talking to you.
Okay, so now we had three major, we had other ones, but we had three major players in this last presidential election. What do you think made the difference between the three of them?
Well, I think they're all competent people. They all have held leadership positions, and they all have been blessed to have held important positions in this country and opportunity to be able to transform this country. Now, have they all performed stellarly to be able to say, look, they should automatically become the president of Nigeria? Democracy doesn't work like that. And so that's why you have to go through the electoral process and campaign and be able to prove that you're the best candidate for the job. So what I would say is that we should judge each person's record independently, objectively, because we get a lot of emotions into what we do, what we say sometimes. Objectively and independently to judge each person. I think I spoke to Bola Ahmed Tinubu's record. The record of Peter Obi is also out there. The record of Vice President Atiku is also there. So we've gone through the process. The people have selected, and now we have a president-elect. Now, if the question you were asking me is this the best Nigeria can do, I think we still have some ways to go in terms of getting to where we ought to be. But we have to start somewhere.
My question was actually what is the difference? What stood Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what stood him out in this last election? What is it that he has that these other two don't have to have emerged as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
Well, the majority of the people voted for him. That's what the way democracy works. That's one. The second thing is that one thing that he has that maybe really worked for him is that he has been able to establish a network across the three major tribes in Nigeria: Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba, and he's been able to empower a lot of people, not just from his own tribe, in many different areas. And you can see that reflected in some aspects of the result of the election. And then you can also see that the crisis within the PDP party also helped APC quite significantly. Imagine if there was no division into Labour Party, PDP, and then the Kwakwanso factor. Imagine what would have happened to the result of the election. And then you have the gang
I was
of
just
five.
going to talk about Kwankwaso. Even I mean, despite the fact that he was not one of the major players, having over 1 million votes in Kano State would have made a very huge difference if he was still in PDP. The Wike factor and the rest of the G5 governors. Do you think all this put together, if these were not minuses for PDP, would Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, do you see him having any edge over the eventual winner of the election?
Well, those are our postulations now. I mean, hindsight 2020. Well, what happened has happened, and because even though those people were matched together, it doesn't mean that those votes would have automatically gone to PDP. They could have been split. Some of it may have gone to APC. Some of it may have stayed with PDP. But we won't speak about, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has friends all over the country, and he's been able to penetrate in many different parts of the country. And the other thing you should realize in this election, I'm always afraid when a story is just about one person. The leadership is about a team. It's about really, when you make a story about just one person, I'm always worried. Even though there's one person competing for this position, when you look at the candidates, there was a lot of emphasis in all the leaders that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been able to create. Maybe we should look at those people that the other two candidates have been able to invest in and make them leaders. So again, hindsight 2020, I think Nigerians have spoken and they have elected Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president-elect. Time will judge whether we made the right decision or not.
Okay, I have just maybe two more questions before we cross to you and your own state. Now, there's been a lot of uproar, people saying the election was marred by a lot of irregularities, mass voting, or rather overvoting, rigging, ballot paper snatching, and ballot boxes snatching. Now, do you think that Peter Obi will have any case even if he decides to go by way of litigation? Would this be grounds for an argument for arguments in the court?
Well, I'm not an attorney, and I don't have I don't know that anybody has all the evidence to prove that, and so we'll leave that to the court of law to decide what happens, who has a case, who doesn't. But remember, I said even if this election was conducted 2, 3 more times, the result wouldn't be different, and I know why I'm saying that.
Okay. Maybe last question before we move to Kwara State and we move to you as an individual. So where do you see Nigeria come May 29th when, or after May 29th when the president will have been sworn in and other members of houses of assembly would have taken positions?
I am more hopeful for Nigeria. I am more hopeful for Nigeria. And I pray that the president-elect will put a round peg in a round hole and will have the courage. Because what we need, what we lack in most of our leaders in Africa, they lack the courage to make the right decisions. Very difficult but important decisions. I'm praying that they will have the courage to do that. I'm hoping that when he establishes a cabinet, he would empower the people he has put in position to do the right thing. And I'm hoping that he would make more people decisions than political decisions. I'm hoping that they will make more people-oriented decisions than political decisions. So I'm more hopeful for Nigeria.
I guess we all should be more hopeful, hoping that the Nigerian system will take a new turn. Okay, I'm going to play this short video clip. It's a recorded clip that I had in one of my programs some years past. But the questions in the clip, like recurring decimals. I want you to listen to the questions in this little intro. And then when you come back, I want you to answer them straight from the heart, especially from your own perspective and using Kwara State as our case study. We'll be right back after this video clip.
The campaign strategies in this dispensation attracted a lot of community development, human and material empowerment, cash donations, and others to mention but few. Money expended on these gestures in Kwara State alone ran into hundreds of millions, needless to say, other unaccountable factors in the campaign. Elections are come and gone. In some quarters, the losers have congratulated the winners, while in other quarters, litigation seems to be their next level. For all these monies expended, what do they stand to gain? Who pays back their money? Will they continue with these kind gestures? Or was it just a business strategy that has failed? If A equals B and B equals C, then A must equal C. In today's program, we will see if all 1 plus 1 is equal 2. My name is Olotu Olufemi.
Welcome back. Professor Wale Suleiman, you have listened to those questions. Can you just please go ahead and answer those questions?
I think we started with that question. I saw my entry into politics was an invitation by my people. Because of all the things we were doing with the foundation, we're giving thousands of scholarships, we've helped farmers, we've helped a lot of people, and they felt like if we were doing things from our own pockets, maybe a position of in position of in politics in the government, you might be able to do more. My campaign was fully funded by me. I intentionally refused to take money from any godfathers. And I don't do things without a budget. I budgeted for it. I never went above my budget. And the next day when the result came out,
Sorry, please.
the
Sorry for
next
that
day,
interruption.
no problem. The next day when the result came out, I thank God for I went into politics as a professional. I came out of politics without a single blemish, and I kept it issue based. For the first time in Kwara politics, there were debates. Hello, sorry, there were debates. We made people started asking questions of political office holders. They asked questions of all of us. So we were able to accomplish significant improvement. So I don't know. I think that was it an investment strategy? Definitely not. Do I expect any refund of my money? No, I knew those money could have been. I expected that I would either lose them completely, or I would get into an office and be able to mock my people. So I mean,
If
like
you had
yesterday,
if you had gotten into office, would you expect some form of remuneration? Would you expect some kind of a payback plan or?
I can't even believe you're asking this question and you're this is from the US. Does that happen in the US?
No, it doesn't. But I'm saying with the system where we have in Nigeria. Okay, let me just quickly say this. A whole lot of people that have contested for powers or for position and won. Let us look at how much they are worth before they get in there. I know a couple of people, even from Kwara State, who were maybe like just average people who could not even afford to buy a car. And after 6 months of getting into power, they're already building houses worth about maybe 10 million, buying cars. So I'm saying that politics is a ground for getting rich anyhow in Nigeria. So for you, because we're talking about you now, and maybe others, if you had gotten into power, would the treasury, your bank account, would have been influenced by your position if you had gotten into power?
So, well, let me tell you what I did when I was special advisor to the current governor. I probably was one of the only handful of officials that declared their assets. I declared my asset before I got into power. And when I resigned after a year, I declared my asset again. So I was given a clearance by Code of Conduct Bureau. That's when I served in government. And I was willing to do that again if I had won. And I would have been willing to do that at the end of my tenure to demonstrate to you that it is possible for us to practice the highest standard of leadership and governance in our country. You don't have to compromise yourself to be relevant. The value of a human being is not in how much he has, is how much you can contribute to society. Look at what America afforded me to be able to become in my life, because I had something to offer, not because I had money to give them, because I had something up here to offer them. That's why it's land of opportunities. So
Well,
I would have been one.
a lot of
Go
people say
ahead.
that the diasporan experience is always a major difference in people's disposition when they go back to Nigeria. The people who live in Nigeria, who grew up and had made it in Nigeria, became politically relevant, and even took up positions. Do you think they can ever have a change in mindset of wanting to say that I also want to declare my assets before and even after I get elected or I get to a position? Because what we see in Nigeria is a whole lot of them just they were average, and then at the expiration of their elective position or selective position, they are mega rich multimillionaires. Do you think there can ever be a change of perspective?
My brother, let me tell you something. They say that people get the government they deserve. If that perspective is going to change, it's up to the people. Look at myself. I'm a professor of neurosurgery. I've been given so many awards around the world. The president of Nigeria gave me a national honor, Commander of the Order of Niger. I ran for office, and the people still elected the person that they felt was incompetent and was not doing a good job. So the people get the government they deserve. So they wanted another 4 years of the same. Let them have it.
So are you
So it
saying
is
that
going to, it is going to change.
if
It is going to
if you
change.
use the word incompetent, are you saying that the followership is also as the leadership?
No, what I'm saying is that people get the government they deserve. If they had complaints about the person that was in government for 4 years, that was representing them, and yet they still voted for that person, then there's a problem. Don't you see that?
But what about
So,
influences
so
of
if you,
rigging? What if the choice of the people is not actually what was expressed in the result? There could be a lot
I
of
don't, I don't,
influences.
I don't have evidence for that. So I don't speak to things I don't have evidence for. What I know is that some people were giving money. They were giving bags of rice and semolina and bed mattresses and all the day before election. And that was what they made. Maybe that's what influenced the decision. I don't know. But if it's going to change, more importantly, you guys in the diaspora, you need to begin to hold elected officials accountable. If somebody gets into office and it was a maybe a thousandaire, now he's a millionaire, why are you not asking them questions? Why don't you bring them on your
But how
program?
are we? The system does not allow for questions to be asked. It's a system of government where your voice is not even expected to be heard, not to even talk about you being seen. How do we influence that? Maybe you can give us an antidote for that.
No, but I think you're doing that now. I'm on your program. You're asking me questions. I'm answering the questions. If I don't answer the questions, if I don't come to your program, post it that you wanted to talk to this guy. I don't know, maybe he has something to hide. So we need to put people on the spot. Maybe we need to
Right.
develop KPIs, key performance indicators for our elected officials. Let's have KPIs by the diaspora to say, look, you are a senator, you are a House of Rep. What have you done? These are the things we expect you to do. How do you fare? Let's blast it all over. Let's put it out there. So if it's competitive, then people would have to prove themselves. So that's how you can hold them accountable. Obviously, you can't go and arrest them. You can't go and stand in front of their houses, but you have freedom of speech. You can
Okay.
also educate the people at home.
Let's talk about Kwara State politics now. Kwara State politics
Okay.
has been very interesting over the years. I grew up knowing Kwara State politics, and I've seen the polity, and I've seen a lot of drama in Kwara State politics. I'm sure even if you were dragged into politics, definitely you must have followed some of the trends in Kwara State politics. There's this dynasty, invisible or real, that has held on to power for some years, for some decades. And somehow it has been alleged that this dynasty has been the one that is deciding, I don't want to use dictating, deciding who gets what and who becomes what. Now, things have changed. Do you think that is a new orientation among the polity, or what do you think actually happened?
Well, I don't know why the screen is changing. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you loud
Can
and
you hear
clear.
me?
I can hear you. I can hear you,
Okay.
Professor.
Well, I think that a few things happen. Number one, there is no dictatorship around the world that has lasted forever. When you suppress people, eventually they're going to revolt and change. So that's been proven many times. That's one. Number two is that I don't think Kwara is giving itself credit enough. So there's never been in the history of Nigeria where an opposition party has defeated incumbent government 100%. 100%. That happened in 2019. So what happened in 2019 has now empowered Kwarans to feel like, we can do that. It means we can do more. And that we also witnessed that in my own election, where we have 24,000 people that are willing to support somebody who came from diaspora, who doesn't speak like a politician, who was talking about issues, and he's not just going to the jamboree and shouting and just saying, oh, I'm a colleague, I'm a do, saying all these things that's not relevant. We not only talk about what we will do, we talk about how we will do it. So that's second. The third one is that, you see, in Kwara now, we're now beginning to evolve new leadership in politics. And I think the youth and the young people are getting more involved, and that will change the face and the dynamics of politics in Kwara forever. So we need not to lose grasp of that. We need to grow new leaders, and I'm hoping that the people that are in charge now will think about that and be able to move our democracy in the right direction, so that Kwara can become a shining example for the country.
So let's look at all the dynamics of the camping and cross carpeting and all that. A lot of people that lost in this one. I want to first of all thank you and congratulate you for having that spirit of sportsmanship to even congratulate your opponent that eventually won the Kwara South senatorial seat. I think that says a lot. It speaks volume. But for others who have neither congratulated the victors but eventually found themselves cross-carpeting. Some of them left APC for other platforms, for other parties, but now having lost or seen that they were going to lose, they are going back to that same APC. Maybe after this question, I'm going to still talk more about the defection. But what do you think has led to this? Is it like is it the fear of going into political oblivion, or why do you think people are just cross-carpeting?
My brother, we have a political that is not based on ideology. We have political parties that are not based on ideologies. Have you ever seen, in the United States, if you're a Democrat, it means you are pro-life. If you're a Republican, you are anti-abortion. Those ideologies differentiate one from the other. Okay? So, unfortunately, I can speak to Kwara South. I think we have a crisis of leadership in Kwara South. And that is that, we need to have more people with the highest degree of integrity and credibility. And that are willing to provide selfless service to the people with a large heart and commitment. So I think that's what's playing out.
But if you talk about ideology, you were a special advisor during the Otoge, whatever. You were a special advisor to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, I think on health matters. But somehow along the line, a lot of people said that things fell apart between both of you and the center could no longer hold, and you left APC and you went to. Is that what happened to ideology there?
No, I think you're getting it wrong. I think that things didn't fall apart. I think I would like to reference you. I would like to refer you to what His Excellency wrote when I resigned. I think I don't know why people try to believe in innuendos instead of looking at the objective data. The Excellency released a press statement that I continue to be friendly with the government, that I was going to the private sector, and I even volunteered to continue to help them as much as they could, as much as I could. So I'm not sure where all those other things you're talking about is coming from.
Professor Suleiman, I saw the write-up by His Excellency, but some of us want to ask questions. We don't just want to read through pages of papers. The thing is, if things were as cool as the governor said, why leave APC? Even if you were not in an elective position, you work with the government of APC. Why not contest under the platform of APC?
No, you're mixing things together. They're two separate things. There is the issue of my service as a special advisor, which I felt like, in Nigeria, responsibility without authority was a complete waste of time. And sometimes how you do things is more important than what you do. So there may have been a divergence of leadership style in that space. And instead of creating chaos, you just step aside and you continue to help as much as you can. So that's that. Now you're talking politics. I can't go into a party where people have been promised returning tickets, even though they are not performing. So why would I go into a party like that when there's no chance of even having a sniff at competing? So why would I do that? So
you saw the handwriting on the wall, should I say?
Well, it was just not democratic. How do you promise somebody a ticket when you're supposed to have a primary? Everything was already rigged before you start. It was rigged before you start. And also because I think that, I think that the platform where the people that wanted me to run is where I went. You're a leader because you have followers. My followers were in Social Democratic Party, and it was a platform that felt it has history. That's the party of Abiola and he has a lot of history. So I thought it was a good platform for me. So there's politics and there is a function. The things that I did as a special advisor for 1 year, some of the previous administrations didn't do in 4 years or 8 years. Just look at the record. Under the
Okay,
leadership
your
of His
principal,
Excellency.
your former principal, who was the governor then and who is still the returning governor, His Excellency Alhaji Abdul Razak Abdul Rahman. Do you think he's working a script that has been written, or do you think he's doing his own thing? Is he making advancements in Kwara State? Kwara State happened to be one of the first states in Nigeria, one of the first 12 states in Nigeria. What do you think has been his contribution in the last 4 years?
Well, I mean, I think that you see, Nigeria is a tough place to live, and Kwara State is a very complex state to govern. And I think I've said this before. I can speak about healthcare, and I'll say it again. The state of healthcare in the states when I was special advisor was very bad. Was really bad, and work needed to be done. The primary healthcare centers were nothing to be written home about. The general hospitals had issues. The health insurance had not taken off. They were understaffed. There was a host of issues. Now, let's now take healthcare and then talk about education, then talk about all these other things. A lot of problems existed when we took over. So where do you start? And then when you're not a rich state like Delta State or Bayelsa State, well, all you depended on was your maybe IGR, which is very small, and the funding from the federal government. So it's a tough state to govern. There's not a lot of resources to do a lot of things. So I'm sure His Excellency did the best he could in the first term, and I hope that he will continue to do more, mostly for legacy. I think I hope he would do some landmark projects, meaningful projects, not for politics, that will cement his name in the history of Kwara. And I think all those things have to do with institutions, some reforms, and bringing industry to Kwara and solving the unemployment issue. He needs to solve unemployment issue in Kwara State. So,
but how do you create employment? How do you create jobs? How do you create employment when you don't even have the financial muscle? How do you go into manufacturing? How do you go into distribution when you don't even have the? Just like you said, Kwara State is very complex to govern. So how do maybe you have something to tell him on what to do?
Well, I think you don't run for office if you don't have any ideas to do that. Why would you run for office? The problems of Kwara State was obvious before you compete for become governor. So right. I have always said that the way to improve any community is a tripartite approach. So you need government to do what the government does well. So
you were talking about privatization the other time. You were talking about privatization, like maybe some of those things. Go ahead, please.
I talk about three-legged approach: the government, the private sector, and NGOs. So you need to tap into those three areas significantly to be able to drive the economy in Kwara State and create jobs.
Okay, thank you so much for the insight. I want to go back a little bit into your own party and the structure. Social Democratic Party is not a new party. It's actually older than PDP and the APC. But how come that Social Democratic Party is not getting the relevance it should get? I look at the gubernatorial candidate in this last election in Kwara State, Alhaji Hakeem Lawal. His father was the former governor of Kwara State, and he was trying to build on a legacy that his father already set up. But what do you think? Is it a party problem, or do you think it's a personality problem?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that let me just speak to the lessons I've learned from my experience in politics in Kwara State. Maybe that would answer your question. Huh? So the first thing is that when you look at the grassroots, the politicians, some of them, if not most of them, come from the PDP. Okay, and then some of them migrated to APC, and some people migrated back to PDP. So there were some pre-existing, long-standing relationships that existed. Okay, so that's one. The second part is that the people that went to APC to SDP, they're mostly APC people, and they told some of them still had a relationship with the APC and some with PDP. So we were making do with groups of people that just came together. And so even if you have all the resources in the world, if you don't have a team, if you're not working together as a team, and a group is not a team, if you're not working together as a team, there's no way you're going to be as successful as you could have been if you were a strong team. The second thing, the fourth thing is that we really didn't have strong leadership in the party. And I've said it many times, especially if we have the crisis of leadership in Kwara South. And so I think so those things affected my election. And then we have a bunch of people that are just dishonest and straightforward. They're just dishonest people. And so those things that we feel like they're normal in politics, but they're not normal. Those things are not normal anywhere in the world. It's not normal. In Nigeria, it's not normal. Nigeria is not a strange, where we still live in the same planet. So those dishonest and people that lack integrity, those are just issues. So what that affected my election, it affected Alhaji Akim Lawal's election. So, but we're looking at the next steps and see what happens.
Okay, distinguished viewers watching across the world, whether you're from Europe or from America or you live in Nigeria, there is a number on the screen. You can see if you are calling outside, if you are calling from Nigeria or from Europe, please kindly put the international code +1, and then you can dial the number 240-615-7388. That's only for WhatsApp, so you can only call on WhatsApp. In case you have any question you want to ask Professor Wale Suleiman, CON, our foremost neurosurgeon and immediate past senatorial candidate under the flagship of SDP. We can still afford to take one or two calls in case you can make your call through. So before we round up, if you are given the opportunity to come back into politics and contest, I don't know if this is a bye-bye to politics, because you said you were dragged into it, a lot of money has gone into it. So, but if you have the opportunity of serving as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, first of all, what will you do for Kwara South? Secondly, what will be your duty and obligation at the National Assembly?
Well, you're asking this question too late. These questions should have been asked when I was competing. I lost the election, so
that's why I said if you have the opportunity of coming back.
Well, I mean, I think that if you ask my wife that question, she'll probably say no, absolutely no. You know, because we sacrificed quite a lot of things in this last attempt. You know, I was away from my family, a lot of money, I risked my life, I spent a lot of time away from my business. So if you ask my wife that question, she'll say no. Now, my politics has always been about, it's a power politics, not position politics. Which means that how do we influence things in such a way that our people get dividends of democracy? I don't have to run for a position to do that. But I can bet you that I'm not going anywhere. I will stay close to what's going on in my senatorial district, and I will stay very close to what's going on in Kwara politics. So that much I can tell you now. But in terms of, it's not, you don't have to be in a position to be influential. But I'm going to make sure that my people, we continue to support them. We continue to provide the scholarships, help to power the indigent population. That's what I was doing before. So I've now charged my foundation, and in the next few years, our focus should be education and poverty. I will continue to do that.
Okay, so and at the national level, if you are given, this is going to be more like an advice to those who are parliamentarians at the national level. Because you even see there are some senators that have been there for 2 times, 3 times, not even sponsor a single bill. You don't even see them standing up, during sessions and all that. So if you were given that opportunity, what would you have done differently?
You know, when when I was running, we released the Kwara South development agenda, Kwara South strategies. All of those things are published. All of those things are published in public domain. Um, I think I'll go back by saying that you and all of us are elites. We need to, if we know what these people should be doing, we should hold them accountable. That in the next 4 years, nobody quiet if a government official is not performing. We make enough noise, people will listen. That's what I say. My own comment, my own strategy, what I wanted to do is irrelevant now because I wasn't elected. And you know, we would just see how it goes in the next 4 years. Like they say in Nigeria, sit down, look, and see what happens.
Viewers at home, I'm just trying to display the other contestants under the that contested for the senatorial seat of Kwara South. We have Senator Lola Shiru, who was the incumbent senator and has come back re-elected. We also have Senator Ibrahim, who lost in the election and once again has lost this time, this bid again. And then we, of course, have that's under the flagship of PDP. Senator Lola Shiru contested under the flagship of APC. And then we have in SDP our Professor Wale Suleiman. We have somebody on the line. I don't know if we can. Hello, good morning or good afternoon. Where are you calling from? What's your name?
Yeah, good afternoon from Nigeria.
Good afternoon. Your name, please.
Thank you. Ade Alabi is my name. Yeah, special greetings to your guest, our able brother, Professor Wale Suleiman. And we want to appreciate him for bringing new narratives to the political arena. Yeah, my question is this. Will he attribute his loss to him not to Kwarans or Kwara Southerners not getting the messages that he put forward in the course of his campaign, or will he attribute it to sabotage from maybe party men or wherever? That's just the question. Thank you.
Okay, Professor Suleiman, you have the floor. You may want to answer that question very quickly.
The answer is both.
How do you mean both? Don't just give us an answer like that. Why did you think the answer is both?
No, because I mean, I think, when you've had a system that has bastardized people and impoverished them for about 3 decades, you're coming with a message to make them see things differently, to emancipate them, to fight for their rights. I think you'll be. It's difficult to achieve that in one election cycle. So again, the master the art of weaponization of poverty. So I think that's one. On the other hand, I think the party, the party was the structure of the party was little to write home about. And so there were some challenges in the party, and I think we'll be foolish to deny that. And some people will even say that it was designed to fail. So, but it is what it is, and I feel very bad for my fellow candidates that to some extent feel betrayed. And I know we'll make a mess, and we'll continue to try and do whatever we can to support our people, the people that they feel like they belong to a team, not people that just were on the edge. So that's the answer to that. You're muted, by the way. You're muted, sir. Mr. Valentine.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I said recently I was having a discussion with some friends who are also journalists, and we were trying to appraise the conduct and the eventual outcome of Kwara State elections. And one of my friends said, I don't know whether to agree with him or not, and he said, Professor Wale Suleiman is in the learning process. That is, he's somebody who came in from a different world and who has decided to make an incursion into politics, that he needs to know some things, and so he's going to learn from this particular election. And when he comes back, he might, that's what he said, he might come back stronger. So do you actually see this 2023 election as a learning process for you?
I have so much to do that I don't have time to have a to follow a learning curve in politics. Since the election came and gone, I've been in the theater, I've done a few surgeries, I've seen patients, and so I think that we have left a mark to change the narrative. I'm beginning to change the narrative in Kwara politics. I'm not sure what that person meant. The truth has no two versions. The truth is the truth. And if they think that the dirty games they play and dirty tricks they play is sustainable, they should go and read the story of the Saraki dynasty. No issue, you can't forever. You can't fool people forever. What we need to do is to make sure that our people are empowered so that the bag of rice will not buy their vote. We need to fight poverty. We need to educate our people to understand how democracy works. And
but
if
how
that's the
will
only thing I can
people,
accomplish,
Professor, how this is a premise that actually touches my heart so much. How will people not budge to such intimidation, where a bag of rice sells for like about 35,000 naira, and then people get the opportunity? Is it the fault of the impoverished who cannot even afford one meal, not to talk about 3 square meal? Is it their fault or the fault of those people who have actually impoverished them? I mean, vote buying, I'm not saying something that is good, but if you see the level of poverty in Nigeria, those of us who live in the diaspora, we always complain about this pressure because people feel that, here is like, it's a bed of roses. So we know how much money go back to Nigeria. So do we really blame these people?
So I think that it's both, right? I think some of it is designed to be like that, where you starve people for so long and you weaponize poverty so that you can take advantage of them. But some of it is that even our people that are uneducated, they're very smart. But unfortunately, our morals over the years have been dilapidated. Remember when you and I were growing up, if you mistakenly take a tom-tom from a market woman and you haven't paid for it, before you walk, take a few steps, somebody will beat you and say, come here, did you pay for that? Now we celebrate thieves. We celebrate people that loot government property, people that steal government money. Our morals, it's not just the education is more, but our morals are so poor that even some of our royal fathers, they will lie to your face. They will lie to your face, knowing fully well that they can be bought.
When I was following your campaign trail, I found out that you actually visited quite a number of the royal fathers, especially in Kwara South, and I saw the kind of reception that they gave to you. I was expecting that, maybe this is a form of acceptance, but at the end of the day, when I saw the result does not express what I saw in the reception that you had with them. I mean, is this a form of betrayal that you're talking about?
Well, I don't know whether it's betrayal. I mean, they've only betrayed themselves. They've only betrayed themselves. They haven't betrayed me. Me, I've moved on. And if anything, they have affected their own integrity, not mine. I mean, I went into politics and came out with my shoulders up high and my integrity intact. So, I mean, I don't feel betrayed. If anybody is betrayed, anybody, it's themselves. I mean, I think it's fine. I just think that, if we continue to do that, we will begin to slowly but surely denigrate the royal, the image of the royal fathers and the royal status. So we just need to be careful on how we manage things like that, so that we don't begin to negatively affect our culture and our traditions. So we just need to be careful. People treat you the way you want to be treated.
Thank you so much, Professor Wale Suleiman, MD, PhD, CON. Before you say your bye-bye, I have just one or two more questions that I'm going to ask you. One or two of them might still be about our country, Nigeria, and then maybe one or two of them might still be about your state and maybe more particularly about Kwara South, where I also come from. But I will do that just immediately after this short break. Please, viewers, don't go nowhere. The stories that are most important to us are stories about me, you, and others. Such stories are about politics, economy, landmark achievements, institutions, sports, and entertainment. All right, thank you, viewers, for watching. If you're just joining us, you have missed quite a lot, because I have on the hot seat a goldfish, by every definition of it, by every nomenclature and standard, a world-renowned neurosurgeon, a member of the highest form of award that you can get in Nigeria, CON, a philanthropist, and a successful entrepreneur by the name Professor Wale Suleiman, also the immediate past senatorial candidate under the flagship of SDP in Kwara State, Kwara South Senatorial District. So we have him, and before we conclude this program, I want to ask you, influences at the national level. Let's, for example, talk about retired General Olusegun Obasanjo and all he has said, from all his letters to the books that he wrote. External influences and pressures, are they doing Nigerian good or doing Nigerian any form of bad?
No, I don't. You see, we have so much talent and expertise, both home and abroad in Nigeria. You know, so if the black race would ever be respected in the world, it would take Nigeria to go in the right direction. Nigeria needs to get it right for the black race to be respected in the world. That's how much weight is on our shoulder. The largest congregation of black people in the world is here. But we are also the people that have accomplished significant amount of advancement. This is the only African countries where blacks own banks. Most of our banks are owned by our people. Most of our industries are owned by our people. There's no other, there's very little number of, very small number of sub-Saharan African countries where they own their own industry. We even own the refineries, one of the largest in the world. So we have the capacity and the potential to be one of the greatest countries in the world. So if they are influencing us, it's because we allow them. That's what I'm saying. We need leadership with courage. We need leadership.
But what about individual policy? What about individual pressures and influences? Like I know General Obasanjo retired, said that this particular election is not acceptable to him. He rooted publicly for Peter Obi, but unfortunately his candidate did not emerge winner in the election. So do you think such influences, like maybe also retired General Badamasi Babangida, Abdul Salam and all that, do you think those are rubbed off on Nigeria negatively or positively, trying to influence the decision and the whatever kind of thing that the masses have?
My brother, you see, in life we're all writing our own stories. And, you just hope that, if you had an opportunity to read your own story, that will put a smile on your face. I hope, I pray that when Babangida and President Obasanjo, both of them that were former leaders of this country, that if they had a chance to read their own stories before their time is up, in this world, that it will put a smile on their face, that it will not make them cry. And I just pray that it will be a positive one, because history will judge all of them. It will judge all of us.
Okay. Last thing I want to hear from you as you bid your farewell, or before you bid people your farewell, is a message to Kwara South, a message to Kwarans, a message to Nigerians about polity, economy, and even our socio-cultural orientation.
Well, I think first of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be with you today. This is a program that I think everybody should subscribe to and support, because I think I felt like I've been on the hot seat. The conversation, the questions were very intelligent, and I've enjoyed myself. I think we've touched on very important topics, so I congratulate you for the program and for giving me the opportunity to be here.
Thank you so much.
You know,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
the most important thing that we need to realize is that if Nigeria is going to change, it's up to all of us. I think that's probably the most important message. That if we need to be the change we want to be, we want to see in Nigeria, whether you're in diaspora or here, I think at the end of the day, um, we all have the capacity to drive the change we want to see in Nigeria. And I think the diaspora especially has a huge responsibility to partake in the politics of Nigeria. And they did some of that, even though it was sort of driven towards one direction in this last election. I want to plead with all the Nigerians in diaspora, especially Kwarans in diaspora, to try to partake in politics, but based on ideology, not based on tribal religious sentiments, and not based on blind loyalty to a sitting governor or incumbent governor. It needs to be based on objective assessment and and the love and patriotism that we all should have for Nigeria. I am very optimistic. I gave up a lot of stuff in America to come back home, but it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Because I feel like I have a mission, and I feel like I'm helping my people, and I feel fulfilled. So you need to plan it, but don't be afraid to come back home. Don't be afraid to be part of the solution. The places we're enjoying abroad, some people fought for that. Some people fought for that. You don't even have to come home, but you can influence from by going back and forth and investing back at home. So I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful, and I want to congratulate the president-elect again, Shivaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his victory. I'm more hopeful for Nigeria. I think for sure, by God's grace, we'll make the black race proud in our lifetime by doing the right thing in Nigeria, and being a good ambassador for all black race in the world. So I thank you for the opportunity once again.
Thank you so much for your appearance. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Wale Suleiman. It's been a very wonderful time hanging out with you here, spending like about over 1 hour on the program. We so much appreciate that, and we are also expecting that at another time when we reach out to you, you will also be with us. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate that, and we're also looking forward to having some measure of support and partnership with you.
No problem. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Professor. All right, so much, so good, so far, so well. Everybody watching, we thank you so much for being out there with us today. It's been another edition, a very successful edition of that. Please look forward to who's going to be our next big goldfish next weekend. I remain sincerely yours. My name is Valentine Oluwagbemiga Olasende, and I'll still be the anchor next week. Thank you so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day, and have a wonderful weekend.